Start with the economy. How much do you think demand is there for technology from international imports right now?
Oh, demand is huge because that international technology is so important for China to continue to push its economic recovery. Good news coming out from China, as you saw with the Q3 numbers beating expectations, 4.9% growth in Q3. But it is a slowing economy, and the recovery is far from certain if China doesn't have access to that technology. Clearly, investment is going to continue to be in technology to try to have indigenous technologies replace this uncertainty around access to global technology. But in the very short term, of course, Chinese demand is going to continue to be significant for these technology imports.
Amy, let's head over to China, the Belt and Road Forum. President Xi kind of made this thinly veiled comment, directed at the US, I'm sure, that downplaying basically how much emphasis you should look at the progress and development of others and the risk of economic interdependence. I'm assuming that President Xi was talking in the context of technology and technology exports. Are you worried about the sort of posturing on both sides here?
Well, certainly, absolutely. For all the clients that we serve, it is a significant worry about where are those geopolitical risks going in the wake, of course, of what's happening in Gaza right now. The fact that Russia and China's leaders are together in Beijing right now, as the president, of course, is in Israel, and then we'll come back to the United States to welcome the leadership of the European Union here. And so there are these discussions about how geopolitics are impacting interdependence. And I think that is what President Xi was getting at in that reference. He, of course, is celebrating a 10-year anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative, welcoming foreign leaders from a number of countries, representatives from more than 130 countries. And so trying to tout the relevance of China on the geopolitical stage at the same time that obviously the US and China disagree on some fundamental issues. And while communicating again, and that's a very positive thing, we're all waiting to see what that communication does. Will it stabilize the relationship, or is it only a temporary lull as the relationship continues to get more challenging because of these export controls, because of the US and China disagreeing on issues around Ukraine, around the war that Israel is waging against Hamas right now, and other issues around economic interdependence. Something that Xi Jinping is worried about too, but again, in the short term, he needs that technology input from American companies and others into China.
I don't think geopolitical risks could be more complex, Amy, and you've put that very clearly to us in that global picture right now. Talk to us about the clients and companies that I just think of. Arm CEO, for example, a company recently listed here in the United States. It's UK based, it's international in terms of its focus. And the CEO, Rene Haas, was at a conference yesterday just saying, look, this is so difficult to be able to just cut off the technology from flowing into the China. And he says it's a very hard problem to solve, just coming up with a list of components that are deemed critical and applying some sort of kind of guidance against it. How difficult is it for your clients to navigate this right now?
It is harder than ever, that's right, Caroline, because companies are trying to gauge where are there truly national security-based restrictions that are impacting them because of policies in Beijing, as well as policies here in Washington, D.C. And they have to navigate both of those issues. You're talking about ASML, NVIDIA, other companies that are worried about policy developments that are going to, in some ways, constrain, in other ways, open up different opportunities for them to continue to grow. And so in Beijing, the policy restrictions are we just in the short term able to continue to sell our products until China indigenously innovates its own competition to our products. And so you can't have confidence in the long-term outlook for continued growth in the China market. And then, of course, in Washington, the impact of yesterday's announcements, how will that impact these companies' abilities to continue to gain global profits that they put into global innovation that are derived out of the China market? And so, yes, companies are trying to balance these issues of significant national security concerns that are coming not just out of one country, out of multiple capitals. I'm mentioning Beijing and, of course, Washington, but we're hearing these same concerns coming out of Brussels, Tokyo, elsewhere. And so companies just have to balance these issues and try to advocate for the need to continue to promote sales that aren't impacting national security in global markets so that they continue to innovate and remain global leaders like NVIDIA, ASML, others really are.
Amy, let's end on the data. You know, it's a critical consumer electronics market. There are hyperscalers there. GDP came in 4.9%, just below Beijing's 5% target. Give us your Chinese economy scorecard based on that data.
Well, China is, I think, in some ways relieved that they're seeing consumption resuming on the ground in China. Now, this is short term, and nobody is finished being worried, least of all Chinese policymakers, who are going to continue with stimulus in order to get this economy restarted again, meet this around 5% growth target for this year, looking at next year being even more challenging. But maybe we're looking at December, Ed, for what the Chinese government says about continued stimulus in 2024. But just a reminder, putting more investment into the economy just adds to that debt to GDP ratio. And so it is not a long-term solution. Chinese economists are saying that, so are international economists, that China really needs to empower its consumers to continue to spend by investing in programs that will help consumers be less worried about that outlook for the Chinese economy. That's going to be a difficult equation for China to manage.